Tonight's tumultuous presidential debate made for a chaotic first fray between the two candidates.
Yeah, we have political analysts Wendy Patrick and Laura Fink with us to break it down this morning. Ladies, this was a huge opportunity for both Trump and Biden because it was predicted 100 million people would tune in. Was this a missed opportunity for both candidates? Wendy, let me start with you.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the morning after, we officially are suffering from an emotional hangover for many of the reasons you've already cited. Viewers are voters, and they came expecting to see a prize fight, and many people thought they saw a train wreck instead. What's the problem there? Both candidates allowed their manners to cloud their message. They both had messages that they could have brought to the table. And the president hit a couple of his. He talked a little bit about jobs, i.e., if my opponent wins, you're going to be yanked back out of the workforce when you just are now getting back to work. National security, different types of things that he knows are really going to resonate with voters, but he wasn't able to complete any of those thoughts. As a trial consultant, I would have said, men, listen to the questions so you can actually deliver the reactions and the responses instead of just the rhetoric. I don't think either candidate did that last night.
Laura?
You know, normally I would have a back and forth with Wendy like we usually do, but this was not a usual debate. This will go down as one of the worst debates, if not the worst debate in modern presidential history. And I will say this, I understand Joe Biden was not perfect in the name calling and all that. But I will say that Trump defined the terms of this debate, and he decided, and I was thinking about it last night, and I'm like, why did he do what he did? It was because I believe he probably didn't want to debate. So when you're talking over the moderator, then maybe you don't want to be asked questions. And if you're talking over your opponent, maybe you don't want to let them speak and have their voice heard and their opinions known. Now, you know, Wendy and I debate all the time, and years. And and I agree with her. You know, one of the ways that you win a debate or even have a debate is you have to let the other person talk so that you can draw a contrast and a different vision. And we didn't see it last night. And I don't know if it was deliberate on Donald Trump's part or if it was emotional on his part where he is in the race. But that led to that complete dysfunction that everyone wanted to turn off.
And on that note, Laura, I asked my social media followers to sum up the debate in one word. Raul said sad, Jim said exhausted, and Kim said worn out. Aren't these debates supposed to leave voters with more substance? And what do you think needs to happen in the next debate so this doesn't become a verbal sparring match? We'll start with you, Laura.
Well, I just think we need to have some structure because all of the rules were set and all of the rules were broken last night. And it started, and I think, you know, allowing the moderator to have control is really, really important. And I think people were giving a hard time to Chris Wallace last night, but I have to give him a pass. You know, he didn't sign up to debate each of the candidates and he didn't have control of the mics. If someone wants to just filibuster and talk, they're going to be able to do that if the mic is live. I don't know that both campaigns will agree, but I think having the power to cut the mic when somebody breaks the rules is really important and would control what looked like a bunch of kindergartners arguing on Zoom. So I think you've got the presidential debate coalition has to make some changes to the rules.
And Wendy?
I think the key is that both candidates follow those rules. So picking up on that, not only do they have to change the rules, but so much for Chris Wallace being the invisible man last night. He didn't think he was going to be moderating a knife fight. He thought he was going to be moderating a debate. But the problem when stakes are high is this can be the result. Both men were practiced and polished. Remember, they've both been preparing for this. But it's a very important election because we know it's going to be close. So between now and the next time, assuming everybody hasn't already voted, I know we're well on our way, they're both going to have to relax, not only abide by their rules, but learn from their mistakes last night. I have confidence both sides can do that. And I hope we're going to be having a far more robust discussion the next time after having actually heard some of the issues both of those candidates are going to bring to the table.
Wendy, while we have you, any takeaway for those undecided voters from last night's debate?
Absolutely. So if you're an undecided voter, you had to read between the lines. You had to listen very carefully to really get the responses through the rhetoric. You did have, I pointed out the president's points about jobs, about national security, about law and order. That was a huge point of the evening. Joe Biden had a couple of points that he made as well, but he kept getting sidetracked by the side talk of the president. Both sides have to do what I tell my witnesses to do in court. Focus on the questions, deliver your answers, don't get distracted. And if they do that, the American people can actually hear the responses better than they could last night. Both men delivered a couple of nuggets, but they were lost in the noise.
Yeah, too much noise. Laura, what do you say?
Well, I just say the only point that may have broken through was either don't vote or vote. You had Donald Trump casting aspersions on the validity potentially of the election, and you had Joe Biden encouraging people to go vote. Really, I don't really think that there was a lot for swing voters. I think that Donald Trump was doubling down and using anger to try to inspire his base. I think Joe Biden was just trying to get a word in edgewise, and I don't know that he was able to pull people off the sidelines for his cause or those very small number of swing voters who might have previously been in Trump's camp. So it was really a wash. And I think ultimately the American people lost last night because they didn't get to see that contrast. They didn't get to hear the ideas, and they didn't get to hear a vision put forth by both sides for America at this incredibly critical time.
I think a lot of people are in agreement with both of you ladies that something needs to happen differently at the October 7th debate. That's the next one coming up here. So we will see what happens next here. Wendy, Laura, as always, thanks so much for your insight and your analysis here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.